The champagne smells like victory. His victory, not mine. Julian's arm rests on her waist like a declaration of ownership. Claire. 26 years old. Performance artist. Muse. She's wearing something architectural and white, all sharp angles and exposed collarbones, the kind of dress that photographs beautifully and says nothing at all. I stand 5 feet away in emerald silk. Julian called it too traditional 3 hours ago while adjusting his bow tie in his bedroom mirror. He didn't ask me to change. He wanted the contrast. The ballroom is full of people who matter. The Drake family's annual charity gala. 200 of the most influential names in art, politics, and old money. Crystal chandeliers catch the light like frozen waterfalls. A string quartet plays something expensive and forgettable. Julian doesn't lower his voice. He wants them to hear. I've spent 15 years in a cage of tradition, Elena. His hand gestures toward me like I'm an exhibit. You were a wonderful wife for the man I used to be. But a visionary needs a muse, not a shadow. The room goes quiet. Glasses pause mid-sip. Conversations die like cut strings. I want a divorce. He says it the way someone might order dessert. Casual. Certain. Already decided. They expect me to cry. To cause a scene. To give them gossip that will last until next season's gala. I see it in their eyes, that hungry, curious watching. Waiting for the plain wife to crumble in front of the beautiful muse. Instead, I reach into my small silk clutch. My fingers close around cold iron. Heavy. Old. The metal smells like rust and history. I pull out a single antique key. It's the size of my palm, ornate handle worn smooth from age, the teeth sharp and specific. The kind of key that opens something that matters. I don't hand him lawyer's cards. Don't demand the house or the cars or the art collection he thinks makes him cultured. Don't ask for anything at all. I simply place the iron key in his palm. His skin is warm. The key is cold. The contrast must shock him because his fingers twitch. I lean in. Close enough to smell his cologne, the one I bought him for our 10th anniversary, back when I still believed anniversary gifts mattered. 5 words. Just 5. The locks have already changed. I step back. Watch his face. The transformation is immediate. The flushed red of a peacock performing for his admirers drains away, replaced by something gray. Builder-grade gray. The cheap, hollow color of things that look expensive from a distance but crumble when you touch them. He stares at the key like it's a scorpion in his hand. Claire touches his arm. Julian? What does that mean? He doesn't answer her. Can't. He's looking at me now, really looking, maybe for the first time in years. I see the exact moment he understands. The key isn't a gift. It's a warning. Elena. He starts, but I'm already turning. The crowd parts. Silk rustles. Someone whispers. A champagne flute clinks against crystal somewhere behind me. I walk through the ballroom in my too traditional emerald dress, past the people who watched him discard me like outdated furniture, past the string quartet still playing their expensive nothing, past the life I built for a man who called me his shadow. The night air outside tastes clean. No champagne. No performance. Just April wind and the distant sound of traffic. I don't look back. Behind me, inside that ballroom, Julian Drake stands with an iron key in his hand and a muse on his arm, surrounded by 200 witnesses to his evolution. He thinks he discarded a plain woman. He doesn't realize yet that he just lost his shield. But he will. They always do. 15 years earlier, I wasn't Elena Drake. I was Elena Hartley, 23 years old, fresh from graduate school with a degree in archival science and a job offer at the city's oldest historical society. I met Julian at a museum fundraiser. He was a junior curator with family connections and big dreams. The Drake name opened doors. His charm kept them open. His vision, he talked about vision even then, would revolutionize how people experienced art. He was magnetic. Everyone wanted to be near him, to bask in the glow of his certainty. I was quiet. Observant. The kind of person who notices what's in the margins of paintings, who reads footnotes, who catalogs the things other people overlook. You see things, he said on our 3rd date, holding my hand across a table at a restaurant I couldn't afford. Really see them. That's rare. He married me 6 months later. What Julian didn't tell me, what the Drake family doesn't advertise, is that vision requires scaffolding. That brilliance needs protecting. That every visionary stands on the shoulders of people doing the invisible work. I became that scaffolding. Year 1. Julian's brother Marcus was arrested for cocaine possession at a gallery opening. The Drake family name, so carefully cultivated over 3 generations, nearly shattered in the tabloid feeding frenzy. I was the one who found the lawyer, made the calls, negotiated the sealed records, managed the PR firm that turned arrest into medical leave for exhaustion. Julian never thanked me. Just squeezed my hand at the family dinner where everyone pretended it never happened. Year 3. Julian's father, the legendary art collector, made a catastrophic purchase. A Monet that wasn't a Monet. $3 million for a forgery so obvious that any graduate student could have spotted it. I was the one who quietly contacted the auction house, negotiated the return, found the real Monet at a smaller gallery, made it look like Julian's father had simply changed his mind about the first piece. The family called it Thomas's brilliant eye for reconsideration. I called it preventing financial ruin. Year 5. Julian's sister, Beatrice, had an affair with her husband's business partner. Messy. Public. Dangerous. I was the one who managed the divorce attorneys, the separation agreements, the carefully worded statements to the press. The one who made sure Beatrice kept her children and her dignity. She sent me a thank you card. One card. It said, "You're a treasure, Elena." Then she never spoke of it again. Year 8. A former employee threatened to sue Julian's gallery for wrongful termination. The employee was right. Julian had fired him for questioning a provenance issue. The employee had documentation, emails, recorded conversations. I was the one who reviewed every document, found the clause in the employment contract that protected the gallery, negotiated the settlement that kept it out of court. Julian celebrated with champagne, didn't invite me to the toast. Year 12. The family accountant discovered irregularities. Money missing from trust funds. Investments that didn't exist. A paper trail leading directly to Julian's uncle, the family's beloved patriarch. I was the one who traced every transaction, built the case, presented it to the family lawyers so carefully that the uncle could retire early for health reasons, instead of going to prison. The family threw him a retirement party. I baked the cake. 15 years of cleaning up messes, burying scandals, protecting the Drake family's carefully constructed image of effortless elegance and cultural authority. Julian called me his partner, his foundation, his rock. But what he meant was, his shadow. The thing that proves he's standing in the light. Claire moves into the estate on a Tuesday. I watch from the garden, my hands deep in soil, planting late-season roses. Pink ones. My mother's favorite. Julian called gardening quaint once, the same tone people use for children's hobbies they don't understand but tolerate. He doesn't know that soil teaches patience. That roots grow in darkness before anything blooms. Claire arrives in a vintage Mercedes, not hers, I recognize it from Julian's collection. Wearing sunglasses that cost more than the gardening tools I've used for a decade. She doesn't carry her own bags. Julian does that, trailing behind her like a porter. His face bright with a kind of joy I haven't seen directed at me in years. She points at my roses. Are those staying? They're very cottagecore. Julian laughs. Actually laughs. Elena's garden. She spends hours out here. It's her meditation. He says it kindly, pityingly, like he's explaining a disability. How sweet, Claire says, but she's already looking past the garden to the house. My house. The one I've maintained for 15 years while Julian collected art and acclaim. I go back to my planting. Let them walk past. Let them enter the house through the side door, the one I had installed 3 years ago when Julian's father needed wheelchair access during his recovery. That night, Julian doesn't come to our bedroom. Former bedroom. I hear them upstairs in the guest suite. Her laugh carries through the ventilation system. Hi. Bright. Young. I don't cry. I pack. Not everything. Just what matters. My clothes fit in 2 suitcases. My books fill 3 boxes. My mother's china, my grandmother's quilt, the photographs of my parents. All of it fits in the back of my modest sedan. Julian finds me in the attic the next morning. What are you doing up here? He sounds annoyed. Like I'm trespassing in my own home. Clearing out old clutter, I say. It's not a lie. I'm standing in front of the archive boxes. 15 years of carefully organized documentation. Files, folders, photographs, letters. The institutional memory of the Drake family's secrets. Just throw it away, Julian says, waving his hand dismissively. Or donate it. Claire wants to use this space as a studio. Of course she does. I'll handle it, I say. He's already turning to leave, already bored with the conversation, when he pauses at the top of the stairs. Elena, I know this is difficult, but you'll find someone else. Someone who appreciates your simplicity, your gardening and your books and your quiet little world. He means it as comfort, as permission to be dismissed gracefully. I'm sure I will, I say. After he leaves, I find the red folder. It's buried in the back of the third box, behind the documentation of Marcus's arrest and the forged Monet incident. A folder I created 3 years ago when I first noticed Julian pulling away. When I first saw him looking at younger women at gallery openings with the expression of someone shopping for upgrades. Inside, every scandal I've ever buried. Every secret I've ever protected. Every skeleton I've kept locked in closets that Julian doesn't even know exist. Photocopies. Originals are elsewhere. Safe. I close the folder. Add it to the box I'm taking with me. Julian thinks I'm clearing out clutter. He doesn't realize I'm clearing out evidence. Removing the shield that's been protecting him from the consequences of being a Drake. I carry the boxes to my car. One by one. Heavy with the weight of 15 years. Claire watches from the window. Sips coffee from my favorite mug. I don't wave goodbye. My father's cottage sits at the edge of the city, hidden behind oak trees and old stone walls. He bought it 40 years ago, before he built his consulting firm, before the money came. He called it his thinking place. After he died, he left it to me. Julian never understood why I kept it. Paying taxes on a cottage you never use, he'd say, shaking his head at my financial irresponsibility. I used it. Just never told him when or why. The key turns smoothly in the lock. The door opens to the smell of lemon oil and old books. Everything is exactly as I left it 3 months ago, the last time I needed to escape Julian's world for a weekend. The walls are sage green. I painted them myself 5 years ago, rolling the color on during a weekend when Julian was in Paris with business associates, who turned out to include Claire, though I didn't know her name yet. Sage green. The color of new growth. Of gardens in early spring. Of things that survive winter and come back stronger. I set my boxes down in the front room. The cottage is small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen barely big enough for 1 person. The furniture is simple. Nothing matches. Everything works. There's no art collection here. No designer furniture. No marble countertops or custom millwork. Just honest materials and good bones and windows that let in light without trying to impress anyone. I make tea. Sit in my father's old chair. Look at the boxes. 15 years of secrets, organized by category. Financial irregularities, legal liabilities, personal scandals, professional misconduct. My father taught me the importance of documentation. Memory fades, he'd say, working in his study while I did homework at his desk. Paper doesn't. If you're going to be the person who fixes problems, Elena, you need to be the person who remembers exactly what broke. I thought he meant fixing things for other people. Now I understand. Documentation isn't just for fixing. It's for protecting yourself from the people whose problems you solve. My phone rings. Unknown number. Elena Hartley? A woman's voice. Professional. Sharp. Yes. This is Jessica Chen from Metropolitan Arts Journal. I'm working on a feature about the Drake family's philanthropic legacy. I was hoping to ask you a few questions about. I'm not doing interviews, I say. I understand you've recently separated from Julian Drake. I'm not looking for personal details. Just context. Background. You were the family's. I hang up. But the call is a crack in the dam. The first trickle before the flood. I look at my phone. 3 missed calls from Julian. 2 from his lawyer. 1 from his mother. None from Claire. She doesn't have my number. Doesn't need it. I'm yesterday's model. Already irrelevant. I silence my phone. Open the red folder. Inside, the documentation of Julian's uncle's embezzlement. Marcus's sealed arrest records. I have unsealed copies. Beatrice's divorce settlement with the NDA that protects the family's reputation. The forged Monet provenance documents. The wrongful termination case with emails showing Julian knew the employee was right. And new additions. Recent ones. Claire's background. Her previous relationships. Her pattern of attaching herself to successful older men. Staying until the money runs out or something shinier appears. Julian's recent financial statements. He doesn't know I still have access to the family accountant's files. The prenuptial agreement Julian's lawyer drafted. The one that gives Claire nothing if they divorce within 3 years. He thinks he's being smart. Protected. He doesn't realize the prenup only matters if his reputation survives 3 years. I close the folder. Pour more tea. Watch the light change through sage green walls. My phone buzzes. A text from Maya, my father's former assistant, now my only real friend. Saw the photos from the gala. Are you okay? I text back. Better than okay. I'm free. Outside, the garden needs tending. The oak trees need pruning. The stone wall needs repair. I have work to do. Just not his work anymore. The archive boxes sit in my father's study like evidence at a trial. I spend 3 days reorganizing them. Not because they're disorganized, I'm meticulous, but because I need to see everything laid out. Need to understand the full scope of what I've been protecting. It's worse than I remembered. Box 1. Financial irregularities, 1998 to 2008. Uncle Thomas's embezzlement. $847,000 diverted from family trusts. Beatrice's hidden gambling debts. $220,000 paid off quietly. Julian's father's art fraud incident. $3 million Monet forgery, plus $400,000 in consulting fees to make the problem disappear. Box 2. Legal liabilities, 2009 to 2015. Marcus's drug arrests. 3 incidents, all sealed, all expensive. The wrongful termination lawsuit. $180,000 settlement plus NDA. Property disputes with neighboring estates. 4 cases, all involving Drake family aggression, all quietly resolved. Box 3. Personal scandals, 2010-present. Beatrice's affair. Photographs, emails, the private investigator's report I commissioned to protect her. Marcus's DUI with a minor in the car. Police reports I obtained through contacts. Julian's father's mistress. A 20-year relationship the family pretends doesn't exist, including the daughter he supports but never acknowledges. Box 4. Professional misconduct, 2012-present. Gallery provenance issues. 17 artworks with questionable origins. Insurance fraud incident. Overvalued collection for tax purposes. Conflict of interest violations. Julian serving on museum boards while selling to those same museums. I create a new document. Title it. Units of Betrayal. A unit of betrayal, I decide, is measured in hours. How many hours of my life I spent fixing problems while being called sweet for my trouble. While being told my hobbies were quaint. While being replaced by a woman whose only qualification is that she makes Julian feel like a visionary instead of a man standing on scaffolding built by someone he called his shadow. I calculate. Marcus's arrests, 340 hours, lawyer meetings, court appearances, PR management. The Monet incident. 89 hours, research, negotiations, documentation. Beatrice's divorce. 156 hours, legal review, mediation preparation, family management. Wrongful termination case. 67 hours, document review, settlement negotiations. Uncle Thomas's embezzlement. 201 hours, forensic accounting, family meetings, legal coordination. Total. 853 hours. That's 106 8-hour workdays. Nearly 6 months of full-time work. Unpaid. Unthanked. While Julian built his reputation as a visionary curator, and I planted roses in a garden he called quaint. I don't include the smaller incidents. The dozens of phone calls to manage family crises. The hundreds of hours spent editing Julian's speeches, reviewing his contracts, proofreading his gallery catalogs. The dinner parties I planned and hosted while he charmed donors. The invisible architecture of his success. My phone buzzes. A news alert. Drake Gallery announces major acquisition. Julian Drake calls it the crown jewel of my career. There's a photo. Julian and Claire at the gallery. She's wearing something white and architectural. He's gesturing at a painting, his expression animated, passionate. The caption reads, Drake credits his new creative partnership with performance artist Claire Morrison for inspiring his boldest acquisitions yet. Creative partnership. That's what she is now. I was the quiet observer. The shadow. The convenient wife. She's the muse. The inspiration. The evidence of his evolution. I close the article. Return to my boxes. The archive isn't just history. It's leverage. Insurance. The record of every time I protected the Drake family from themselves. And now I'm going to stop protecting them. Not by releasing the information, that would be crude, vindictive, the behavior of someone who wants revenge. No. I'm simply going to remove myself from the equation. Stop managing the crises. Stop burying the scandals. Stop being the shield that lets them pretend they're invincible. I'm going to let them face the consequences of being Drakes without a gatekeeper. I organize the boxes by date. Create an index. Cross-reference everything. Then I turn off my phone, make dinner, and eat it slowly in my sage-green kitchen while the sun sets through oak trees. Tomorrow, Julian's world will start crumbling. He just doesn't know it yet. The call comes on a Thursday morning, 2 weeks after the gala. I'm in the garden, pruning the climbing roses that have overgrown the stone wall. My hands are dirty, fingernails caked with soil. The sun is warm on my shoulders. The air smells like earth and growing things. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I almost don't answer. Almost let it go to voicemail. But something makes me check the screen. Julian's mother. Catherine Drake. The matriarch who built the family's social standing from her father's old money and her own ruthless charm. Elena. Her voice is clipped. Controlled. The way it gets when she's furious but can't show it publicly. Have you seen the news? I don't watch the news anymore, Catherine. A pause. I hear her breathing, calculating. Marcus was arrested last night. At a fundraiser for the Children's Hospital. There are photographs. Video. It's everywhere. I set down my pruning shears. Wipe my hands on my gardening apron. What happened? Cocaine. Again. In the bathroom. With a city councilman's daughter. Her voice cracks. Just slightly. The girl is 19, Elena. This isn't something we can bury. Wait. As if I'm still part of the machinery. Have you called the lawyer? I ask, though I already know the answer. Julian can't find the file. He says you kept all the documentation from Marcus's previous incidents. He needs the lawyer's contact information. The case numbers. The precedents we used last time. Last time. When I spent 340 hours making it disappear. When I found the lawyer who specialized in exactly this kind of mess. When I negotiated the sealed records and the medical leave story and the rehabilitation narrative that kept the Drake name pristine. I don't have those files anymore, I say. It's not a lie. The files are here, in my cottage, but they're not available to her. Not available to Julian. Not part of my responsibilities anymore. Elena, please. Catherine's control slips. This is family. I'm not family anymore. Julian made that clear at the gala. He was emotional. Impulsive. You know how he gets when he's inspired. Inspired, I repeat. The word tastes bitter. Is that what we're calling it? Silence on the other end. Then, Claire doesn't know how to handle this. She's never dealt with anything like this. She's just a girl playing at being sophisticated. I almost laugh. Almost point out that Catherine was perfectly happy to welcome that girl into the family when she thought Claire would be decorative and manageable. Then Julian will have to figure it out himself, I say. Or hire someone new. I'm sure there are plenty of people who can clean up Drake family messes for the right price. You did it because you loved us. Because you were family. I did it because I was Julian's wife. And he divorced me. In front of 200 people. With his new muse on his arm. I can hear Catherine breathing. Sharp. Shallow. The sound of a woman who's built an empire on control realizing she's losing her grip. What do you want? She asks finally. Money? The house? Name your price, Elena. I don't want anything from you, Catherine. That's what you don't understand. I'm not negotiating. I'm not playing games. I'm just done. I hang up before she can respond. My hands are shaking. Not from anger. From the strange weightless feeling of dropping a burden I've carried so long I forgot it wasn't part of my body. I go back to my roses. Cut away the dead wood. Tie the healthy canes to the trellis. Make space for new growth. That evening, I watch the news. Marcus's arrest is the lead story. The footage shows him being walked out of the fundraiser in handcuffs. His face is red. Blotchy. The councilman's daughter is crying. The reporter mentions the Drake family's history of philanthropic leadership. Says this incident is surprising given the family's reputation for impeccable conduct. Impeccable conduct. Built on 853 hours of my invisible work. I turn off the television. Pour a glass of wine. Sit in my father's chair. My phone buzzes. Text after text. Julian. We need to talk. This is serious. Catherine. Please reconsider. For Marcus's sake. Beatrice. Elena, I know we haven't spoken, but Marcus needs help. You always knew how to fix these things. I silence my phone. Watch the sun set through sage green walls. They're calling me because they're scared. Because the scaffolding is crumbling. Because the visionary and his muse have no idea how to do the dirty work of damage control. I don't answer any of them. Outside, the garden grows in the gathering dark. The mediation happens in a conference room that smells like coffee and desperation. Julian's lawyer chose the location. Neutral ground. A downtown office building with generic art on the walls and furniture designed to be inoffensive. I arrive 10 minutes early, wearing sage green linen. Simple. Elegant. The dress cost $89 at a boutique near the cottage. I look like someone who's moved on. Julian arrives exactly on time. His lawyer beside him. No Claire. Interesting. He's wearing navy. Expensive. His hair is styled differently. Shorter, more contemporary. Claire's influence, probably. He looks younger. Or like he's trying to. But his eyes are tired. Dark circles barely concealed by whatever concealer she convinced him to wear. Elena. He nods. Formal. Like we're business associates instead of people who shared a bed for 15 years. Julian. We sit. His lawyer opens a folder. Starts talking about asset division. The house. The art collection. The investment accounts. I let him talk. Watch Julian instead. The way his fingers tap against the table. Nervous habit. He used to do that before gallery openings, before important meetings, before anything that made him anxious. My client is prepared to be generous, the lawyer says. His name is Richard. I remember him from the wrongful termination case. He bills $800 an hour and has the moral flexibility of warm plastic. Generous, I repeat. The house is worth $4.2 million. Mr. Drake is willing to give you $500,000 and the vehicle in your name. He keeps the art collection, the gallery interests, and the primary residence. I almost laugh. $500,000 from a $4.2 million asset. Plus a car worth maybe $30,000. Generous. What about the family files? Julian asks. His voice is tight. Controlled. But I hear the edge underneath. What files? I ask, though we both know exactly what files. The documentation you kept. The legal records. The contacts. He stops. Looks at Richard. My client would like to retrieve certain business records that were stored at the marital residence, Richard says smoothly. We understand you removed several boxes. We'd like those returned as part of the settlement. Those weren't business records, I say. Those were personal documents. Family history. My archival work. Family history that belongs to the Drake family, Julian says. His control is slipping. Those files contain sensitive information. Private information. You can't just take them. I didn't take anything that wasn't mine to document. I keep my voice level. Come. I spent 15 years managing Drake family crises. I kept records. That's what archivists do. Elena. Julian leans forward. Tries the charm that used to work on me. I know your heart. I know the gala was public. But this is bigger than us. Marcus needs help. The family needs. The family needs a new gatekeeper, I say. I'm not available for that position anymore. This is blackmail, Richard says. This is self-preservation, I correct. You want to know where the files are? They're safe. You want to know what's in them? Everything. Every scandal, every mistake, every crisis I fixed while being called sweet and helpful and simple. Julian's face goes pale. Not builder-grade gray yet. But getting there. You wouldn't, he says. Wouldn't what? Release them? Sell them? Use them? I smile. I don't have to do anything, Julian. That's what you don't understand. I just have to stop doing what I've been doing for 15 years. Which is protecting you. The room goes quiet. Even Richard stops shuffling papers. Without me, I continue. The scandals I buried don't stay buried. The people I paid off don't stay quiet. The lawyers I found don't take your calls. The reporters I managed don't respect your privacy. I wasn't just your wife, Julian. I was your shield. And you threw me away in front of 200 people. Claire said you were holding me back, Julian says quietly. She said I needed someone who understood my vision. Someone who could inspire me instead of just maintaining. And how's that working out? I ask. Is Claire handling Marcus's arrest? Is she negotiating with the councilman's family? Is she managing your mother's panic calls? His silence is answer enough. You wanted a muse, I say standing. You got one. Beautiful. Artistic. Inspiring. And completely useless when things get ugly. I gather my purse. Turn to leave. Elena. Julian stands too. Please. I'll give you whatever you want. Money. The house. Half of everything. Just help us fix this. One more time. I look at him. Really look. See the man I married under the styled hair and the younger girlfriend's influence. The man who had vision but needed scaffolding. Who could inspire but couldn't maintain. The locks have already changed, I say quietly. That's what I told you at the gala. You thought I was talking about the house. But I wasn't. Then what? I changed the locks on my protection, Julian. On my labor. On my invisible work. You don't get to unlock that anymore. No matter what you offer. I walk to the door. Richard starts to object, but I cut him off. One more thing, I say, looking back at Julian. That iron key I gave you? It opens the safe in your study. The one where I kept copies of all the important documents. You might want to check it. His face drains completely now. Builder-grade gray. You didn't, he whispers. The locks have already changed, I repeat. All of them. I leave him standing there, his lawyer whispering urgently, his world crumbling like old plaster. Outside, the April air smells like rain coming. Clean. Fresh. New. I walk to my car and drive back to my sage-green sanctuary. Behind me, Julian Drake learns what it's like to stand in the spotlight without a shadow to prove he's real. The email arrives on a Saturday morning. 3 weeks later. Subject line. Gallery crisis, urgent. I delete it without reading. But curiosity gets the better of me. I retrieve it from trash. It's from Beatrice. Not Julian. Not Catherine. His sister, who I helped through her divorce, who sent me one thank you card and then pretended I didn't exist. Elena. Julian won't ask but I will. Claire left. The gallery is facing a lawsuit over provenance issues on the new acquisition. Marcus's trial is next month and the prosecutor is pushing for jail time. Mother has stopped speaking to Julian entirely. He's falling apart. Please call me. I close the email. Make tea. Sit in the garden. The roses I planted are blooming now. Pink. Beautiful. Thriving in the clean soil and careful attention. I don't call Beatrice. Instead, I water my garden. Prune dead leaves. Pull weeds. Do the quiet, invisible work that makes beautiful things possible. That evening, Maya calls. My father's former assistant. The only person from my old life who still treats me like a person instead of a resource. Have you seen the news? She asks. I don't watch the news. Julian's new acquisition is a fake. The provenance documents are fraudulent. The gallery that sold it to him is claiming he should have done his own due diligence. He's being sued for $6 million. I close my eyes. Remember the file in box 4. Gallery provenance issues. 17 artworks with questionable origins. I'd warned him. 5 years ago. Told him to hire a proper authentication specialist. To verify everything. To protect himself. He'd called me paranoid. Said I was overthinking things the way archivists do. There's more, Maya says. Claire left him. Moved to New York with a tech investor. Posted about it on Instagram. Called Julian a learning experience. A learning experience. That's what he is to her. A stepping stone to someone with a cleaner reputation. Someone whose family doesn't implode on national news. How is he? I ask, though I'm not sure why I care. Alone. The estate is empty. Catherine won't return his calls. Beatrice is protecting her own reputation. Marcus's lawyer told him to distance himself from the family until after the trial. He's completely isolated. I imagine Julian in that big house. Walking through rooms full of art he's not sure is real. Sleeping in the guest suite because the primary bedroom still smells like Claire's perfume. Standing in the garden where I used to plant roses. Looking at weeds taking over. Maya, I say carefully. Did you know my father bought this cottage after his first business partner betrayed him? No. He told me once that betrayal teaches you the difference between scaffolding and foundation. Scaffolding holds you up temporarily. Foundation holds you up permanently. He said the trick is knowing which one you're building. Maya is quiet. Then, Julian built scaffolding. We all build scaffolding at first, I say. But some people learn to build foundation before the scaffolding collapses. Others don't. Are you going to help him? I look at my sage green walls. My simple furniture. My father's chair. The archive boxes stacked neatly in the study. No, I say. I'm going to let him learn. I hang up. Finish my tea. Watch the sun set through oak trees. Somewhere across the city, Julian Drake stands in an empty estate with a fake Monet and a Muse who left him for someone shinier. He went looking for the safe in his study. I know he did. Found it right where it's always been, behind the bookshelf in his office. The iron key I gave him at the gala fits perfectly. But the safe is empty. Has been for months. Since the day I moved to the cottage. All the documents are here now. All the protection. All the invisible architecture that held him up. He's standing in the spotlight, just like he wanted. But without a shadow, there's nothing to prove the light is real. He comes to the cottage on a Thursday in May. I'm in the garden when I hear the car. Not the vintage Mercedes. Something smaller. A rental. Maybe. The engine sounds cheap. Uncertain. Julian gets out slowly. He's lost weight. The navy suit, the $3,000 one I used to take to the dry cleaner every Wednesday while he was at gallery openings, hangs on him like a costume 2 sizes too large. He hasn't shaved. His eyes have that hollowed-out look of someone who hasn't slept in weeks. He stands at the garden gate, looking at me like he's not sure he's allowed to enter. Elena. My name sounds broken in his mouth. Cracked. Like old porcelain. I don't stand. Keep pulling weeds from around the rose bushes. The soil is warm. Rich. Alive with the smell of things growing. The gate's open, I say. He walks through carefully, like he's entering a museum after closing time. Looks at the cottage with its sage green walls. The simple garden. The stone wall I've been repairing with my own hands. It's peaceful here, he says. Yes. He stands there, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Julian Drake, who commanded gallery openings and charity galas with effortless authority, who spoke to crowds of hundreds without notes, can't figure out how to start this conversation. I let him struggle. Keep weeding. The rhythm is meditative. Pull. Toss. Pull. Toss. I need your help, he finally says. I know. The lawsuit. Marcus's trial. The gallery is failing. Mother won't speak to me. I don't know who to call anymore. Don't know how to fix any of it. His voice cracks. Actually cracks. I can't do this without you, Elena. I sit back on my heels. Look at him. Really look. He's aged 10 years in 2 months. The vision and confidence that made him magnetic have drained away, leaving just a frightened man who built his life on scaffolding that's collapsing beneath him. Why did you come here, Julian? Because you're the only one who knows how to fix this. You always knew. You were the one who held everything together while He stops. Swallows hard. While I took credit for it. While I stood in the spotlight you created. Is that what you think I did? Held things together. You protected us. Protected me. From every mistake, every scandal, every crisis. You were the gatekeeper. He says it like he's just discovering the word. Just learning its weight. And I threw you away. In front of 200 people. While champagne was being poured and a string quartet played and everyone watched. The detail surprises me. He remembers the specifics. The staging of his cruelty. I pull another weed. Add it to the pile beside me. Do you know what this garden teaches? I ask. He looks confused. Lost. I don't. Patience. Consequence. The difference between things that grow and things that just take up space. I brush soil from my hands. My fingers are stained green from plant stems. Weeds look fine from a distance. Sometimes they even look like they belong. But they don't build anything. They just consume resources until they choke out everything real. Elena. You called me your shadow, Julian. At the gala. In front of everyone who matters in your world. You said a visionary needs a muse, not a shadow. You said I was a cage of tradition. I was wrong. God, I was so wrong. He kneels beside the garden bed. Gets dirt on his expensive pants, the navy ones that cost $3,000, that I used to take to the dry cleaner every week. His hands hover over the soil like he's afraid to touch it. Like the earth might burn him. Claire wasn't a muse. She was just someone who told me what I wanted to hear. Made me feel brilliant without actually doing anything to earn it. And I made you feel ordinary, I say. No. He shakes his head. Desperate. You made me honest. You saw the work behind the vision. The scaffolding. The messy reality of being a Drake. And you loved me anyway. Or you did. Until I made it impossible. I stand. Brush the soil from my gardening apron. Look down at this man who I spent 15 years protecting from himself. Do you know what that iron key opened? I ask. The safe in my study. It was empty. Do you know why it was empty? He shakes his head. Looks up at me like a child waiting for a lesson he knows will hurt. Because I spent 15 years being your shadow, Julian. Your gatekeeper. Your invisible shield. And the moment you publicly discarded me, the moment you put your arm around Claire and told 200 people I was holding you back, I took the archive with me. All of it. Every file, every contact, every piece of institutional memory that made your family look impeccable. I know. And I'm asking, begging, for you to come back. To help me fix this one more time. I'll give you anything. Everything. The house. Half the gallery. My mother's jewelry. Whatever you want. You still don't understand, I say quietly. The locks have already changed. That's what I told you at the gala. What locks? His voice breaks. What does that mean? The locks on my protection, Julian. My labor. My willingness to clean up messes while being called simple and traditional and plain. While being told my gardening was quaint and my book restoration was a waste of time. I look at the cottage. The sage green walls glowing in afternoon light. The garden I've built with my own hands, one plant at a time. I'm not a gatekeeper anymore. I'm just Elena. And Elena is building something new. Something that doesn't require standing in someone else's shadow. So you're just going to let me fail? Let the family collapse? After everything. After everything I did for you, I interrupt, my voice steady as stone. You replaced me with a woman who left the moment things got difficult. You told a room full of people that I was a cage. That I held you back. That your vision needed someone more elegant, more inspiring, more beautiful. He flinches like I've struck him. I gave you exactly what you asked for, Julian. Freedom from your shadow. From the cage of tradition. From the woman who saw all your scaffolding and loved you anyway. I pull off my gardening gloves. Fold them carefully. I gave you the spotlight without the shadow. And now you know what that looks like. Elena, please. No. The word is firm. Final. You wanted a muse. You wanted spotlight without shadow. You got it. Now you get to learn what every visionary eventually learns. What's that? He whispers. That a shadow is the only thing that proves you're standing in the light. I walk toward the cottage. He doesn't follow. Just kneels there in my garden, hands hovering over soil he doesn't know how to touch. At the door I turn back. One last thing. One final truth. You have a choice now, Julian. You can keep trying to be a visionary without doing the work. Keep looking for someone else to be your invisible foundation. Or you can learn to build something real. Something honest. Something that doesn't require someone else's shadow to prove you exist. I don't know how, he whispers. His hands finally touch the soil. Fingers sink into the dirt. I don't even know how to pull weeds. It's the first honest thing he's said in 15 years. Then you'll learn, I say. Or you won't. But either way, you're doing it without me. I go inside. Close the door gently. No slam. No drama. Just the soft click of a lock that's already changed. Through the sage green curtains, I watch him kneel in my garden. Watch him try to pull a weed and fail because he doesn't know to grip it at the root. Watch him sit back on his heels, staring at his dirt-stained hands like he's never seen them before. He stays for 15 minutes. Then he gets in his rental car, not the vintage Mercedes that's probably sold now, and drives away. I don't cry. Don't feel victorious. Don't feel anything except the quiet peace of knowing I'm finally free. The garden will still be here tomorrow. The roses will keep growing. The stone wall will get stronger with every repair I make. And I'll be here too. Building foundation. Not scaffolding. Just Elena. No longer anyone's shadow. Finally standing in my own light. 6 months later, I open the doors to the Hartley Institute for Institutional Memory. It's small. Just 3 rooms in a converted warehouse near the university. But the walls are sage green, and the windows let in beautiful light, and the shelves are filling with archives donated by people whose invisible work was forgotten. We document the labor that builds institutions. The administrative assistants who held companies together. The family caregivers who managed generational wealth. The archivists who preserved history while other people took credit. The teachers who stayed late. The nurses who fought for patients. The partners who built empires for people who called them shadows. The people who stood in the dark and made the light possible. Maya works with me now. She quit her corporate job to help build this. We have 3 interns from the university's archival science program. 2 volunteers who come on weekends. Donations are modest but steady. I don't make much money. Don't need to. The cottage is paid for. My needs are simple. My father's modest inheritance covers the rest. I'm building foundation, not scaffolding. The Drake family lawsuit settled quietly last month. Julian paid $4 million to make it go away. He sold the house, the one with my garden, now overgrown with weeds. Downsized to a small condo in a neighborhood that doesn't impress anyone. Closed the gallery. The vintage Mercedes was auctioned off to pay creditors. Marcus got probation and mandatory rehabilitation. He's working at a community art center now, teaching painting to high school students. Catherine retired from the board of the Historical Society, citing health concerns that everyone understands are actually shame. She moved to her sister's house in Connecticut. Doesn't give interviews anymore. Beatrice and I had coffee last week. She apologized. Really apologized. Cried into her latte and said she spent 15 years watching me hold her family together and never once thanked me properly. You were the foundation, she said, her voice thick with regret. We were too stupid, too entitled, to realize it until the building collapsed and we were standing in the rubble. I told her about the institute. She made a donation. Substantial. Anonymous, at my request. For all the shadows I took for granted, the note said. Julian and I don't speak. But I hear things through Maya, through Beatrice, through the social channels that still connect me to that world. He's working as a consultant now. Helping small galleries with authentication and provenance issues. teaching them to do the due diligence he never did. Using the hard lessons he learned when his own shortcuts destroyed him. He's building something smaller. More honest. Less shiny. More real. Maybe he's learning. Maybe not. Either way, it's not my concern anymore. I'm in the Institute's reading room when the mail comes. Maya brings me a small package. No return address. Just my name in handwriting I recognize immediately. Inside, the iron key I gave Julian at the gala. Heavier than I remembered. Colder. The rust at the edges has deepened. And a note. You were right. A shadow is the only thing that proves you're standing in the light. Thank you for being mine, even when I was too blind to see it. I hope you're building something beautiful. You always did. I just never noticed because I was too busy standing in the spotlight you created. J. I hold the key. Feel its weight. Its age. Its history. The metal is cold against my palm, but it doesn't hurt anymore. Then I add it to the Institute's collection. Create a display case. Label it. Symbol of invisible labor. The Gatekeeper's Key. Donated by Julian Drake, 2024. A shadow is the only thing that proves you're standing in the light. It belongs here. With all the other artifacts of work that went unseen. Labor that went unthanked. Shadows that made light possible. Foundations that held up visionaries who forgot to look down. That evening, I go home to my cottage. Make dinner. My grandmother's recipe, the one that takes time and patience. Sit in my father's chair. Look at the sage green walls that have witnessed my transformation. Outside, the garden grows in the gathering dark. The roses are thriving. Deep pink, the color of sunset and new beginnings. The stone wall stands strong, every repair I made holding firm. Sometimes I think about that gala. The champagne that smelled like his victory. The silk dresses. Claire in her architectural white, all sharp angles and empty beauty. The string quartet playing something expensive and forgettable. The 200 people who watched him call me his cage. I wonder if any of them remember. I wonder if they noticed when his light started flickering without a shadow to prove it was real. I wonder if they saw the weeds taking over my garden, the gallery closing, the house being sold, the Mercedes at auction. I wonder if any of them learned the lesson Julian had to learn the hard way. I don't wonder long. I have roses to tend. A wall to repair. An institute to build. A foundation to strengthen. I didn't need Julian's muse's elegance. I didn't need his spotlight or his vision or his world of beautiful lies built on invisible scaffolding. I just needed him to realize that a shadow is the only thing that proves you're standing in the light. He learned too late. But I learned just in time. And now I'm teaching others. One archive at a time. One shadow at a time. One invisible worker at a time. The light I'm building doesn't need anyone else's darkness to prove it's real. It's mine. All mine. Finally. If you've ever been the person who held things together while someone else took the credit, this story is for you. If you've been called too simple or too traditional while doing the invisible work that makes success possible, this story is for you. If someone ever told you that you were holding them back, when really you were holding them up, this story is for you. Now I want to know, what's your invisible work? What are your 853 hours that nobody sees? Tell me where you're watching from and tell me one specific thing you do that no one notices. The emails you send at midnight. The crises you prevent before they happen. The scaffolding you build while someone else stands in your light. Let's build an archive of shadows that made light possible. Drop your city, your country, and your invisible labor below. Round pushpin backhand index pointing down. You're not a shadow to me. You're not too simple or too plain or holding anyone back. You're the whole damn foundation. And it's time the world saw it. New York, Mumbai, London, Lagos, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Ibadan? Comment below. Share your 853 hours. Let's make the invisible visible. Because Julian isn't just one man. He's every person who stands in the light and forgets to thank the shadow. And Elena? She's every person who finally learned that being someone's foundation doesn't mean you have to let them stand on you. Tell me your story. I'm listening. We're all listening.